I'm going to actually go to my pick for night 17 first because the match you picked for night 17 is the main event. So I want to go to I'm going to go mine first.
Sure.
And it is Koguma taking on Risa Sera. Like I look at Koguma in a very weird sense. When we watched her on the Stardom show, she was so brutal, so vicious, so like just beat your facing kind of person. But then we watch her in a lot of these 5-star matches. She's very, and I don't mean this as an insult to her, very Yano-esque. Like I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of the style that Toru Yano provides, but hers is very Yano-esque. But she is a very, like, again, like Yano, a very good in-ring wrestler. But I find she knows better when to turn on the side where she needs to get serious and buckle down in a match more than what Toru Yano does, because he does his goofy crap the entire match, where she does. Because perfect example is at the start of this match, she was doing wants a handshake. Risa Sera wouldn't shake her hand. She kept doing the Koguma. I don't know what this is for,
She's
but
a bear.
Okay, the Koguma bear symbol. And Risa Sera would not take her seriously, and she just kept kicking her in the face, beating on her, and making fun of. And Koguma would keep trying to do the symbol at it, and then Risa Sera would kick her and beat on her again, and like it was a very like Risa Sera is going to dominate Koguma in the style that they did. But and then they end up on the outside. Risa Sera is chasing after Koguma. She catches, like, Koguma just turns around, does her bear symbol, and Risa Sera just runs up and just kicks her in the gut. Like, just no reaction, just kicks her in the gut, throws her into the chairs, and heads back in the ring. And Koguma like just recovers, and she ends up getting a DDT onto Risa Sera actually before they got back in the ring. But just the back and forth between both these ladies was just phenomenal. Like when they finally got back into the ring, Risa at one point gets a beautiful high angle Boston Crab. Like just she's grabbing from like the leg like this, and she's like standing up, so like she's just twisting right at the lower back, and it just like it looks like so much more torque. It just it looks so brutal. But then and I've noticed this on a few matches she's done, where she lifts the girl up and just tosses her into the corner, but it looks like with a buckle bomb, but it looks like it hurts so much worse because they're coming, but they're hitting right at the bottom of the turnbuckle pad. Oh, I'm like, oh, and then she'll run it straight into them with double knees to the face, a la Andrade El Idolo. But it's just Koguma ends up getting the advantage, and she slams her down by the ropes, and then just stamps on top and just bang, 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 just does the little stomps in the back, and then launches herself up and just comes down with a huge double stomp to the back. Looked brutal, but in the end, Risa gets a cradle shock, but only gets a 2 out of it. Then she hits the air raid crash into the corner, and then gets the double knee drop off the top for the win. And Risa Sera picks up another victory here, so solidly moving herself into contention for this tournament.
Yes, this match again, like that I agree with you. The spot in the beginning of there with the ears and everything, that's typical Koguma. That's typical what I'm used to with her. Seeing her at the Stardom show where she was so serious and she really turned it on. You're very right. It was very Yano-esque because, like Yano, he knows when to turn things on and when to.
Sometimes,
I hate to admit it.
Sometimes he knows when to turn it on. I think Koguma knows
better than
when to
Yoshihashi.
I think Koguma knows when to turn it on better than Yano does, in my opinion.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only other thing that I had noted in this was the top rope cutter that Koguma got to pull off on Risa. Other than that, I pretty much noted the same things you did. I got to get better at my notes.
Yeah. It just so much happened in that match, and it was like a very big highlight for me. The other highlight is your pick of the night, and that is Utami Hayashishita taking on Saki.
Oh man, another almost kind of champion-esque match. Hayashi Shida, obviously not a champion, but she could be soon. You never know. She is the captain of Queen's Quest,
Well, she's also
and
the former champion. She's the former World of Stardom champion too, who
exactly,
did
only
take
a
the.
matter of time.
Mhm.
But Saki here, she again came in with that dingle dangle. I'm gonna figure out what it's legit called, but the dingle dangle.
I look
And
at it as a hanging Billy Goat's curse. So that's what I think of it as, essentially.
I think dingle dangle sounds funner. But again, as I had mentioned before, she is so good with her pull off of this. Again, Hayashi Shida, she was gliding, she was sliding, she wasn't hitting her face on the ground until Saki wanted her to.
Mhm.
But this match was another match of power for both Utami and Saki.
Mhm.
I feel like Saki was doing her absolute best to keep up with Utami. And again, I feel like this was another match where she definitely felt that she had to prove herself because she went from fighting the actual world champion, was it the night or a couple nights before, to having to actually fight the woman who the current champion, says is her greatest rival in the company.
Yeah.
So, to be like perfectly fair, again, I have to shout out both of these girls' entrances. Utami Hayashi Shida, I think, has some of the best music in Stardom, and her intro is so classy and professional, yet interactive and fun. I love that she comes out with the rose and gives it to people. We haven't mentioned it in the reviews yet, but there has been a lot of play going around with the rose that Hayashi Shida brings out with. I think it was Mai Sakurai giving her plants and like actual
Mhm.
flowers, and then Hayashi Shida slapping her with them afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty sure Kashima Saki did the same thing with a paper one and like gave it to a crowd member, and
Mhm.
it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch her there. But at the end of the show, Hayashi Shida turned out to be just too much for Saki, and we got to close out the show with the Queen's Quest captain signing off everybody. Andre, what did you think
Yeah.
of this one?
Honestly, like I don't. There's very few better than Itami Hashishida in Stardom right now. Like
Mhm.
there was a reason she was their champion when she was. It's a reason Shuri calls her her greatest opponent, her greatest rival. There's a
Mhm.
reason for that because of how good she is. Just just some of the like the Tommy's air raid crash, like you see it from a few of the girls, but hers just like the way she drives them down. Um,
Mhm.
just like there was a point she just picked just from the ground, grabs her, lifts her, and then just deadlift German suplexed her. Utami did to Saki. Just
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
you can't overlook Saki and how good that girl really is. Like
Mhm.
I just think it is Utami Hayashishida. She's just that step above almost everybody else in the company. I think there's very few other than maybe Suri, maybe Julia at that level, like ready for
Mhm.
that to be in that top title program. And then the end with the spinning razor's edge to finish it, I think just chef's kiss.
Mhm. And if I remember correctly, I bet she had a little bit of a struggle setting that up at the beginning, didn't she? Before she managed to pull off the move.
Yeah, she tried it earlier on, didn't quite get it, and then got it towards the end at the end there. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
a great night for Stardom.
Oh, so very, very good.